Okay, friends, I'm going to attempt to try to take a video of how to make a You Are Loved heart. Here's a finished example, although I didn't put a border on this heart. This is just the basic pattern. So if you know how to crochet a granny square, then you are already more than halfway there, because the basis of the heart is the first two rows of a granny square. So that's a good thing if you already know how to do that. Making the hearts, I use the most inexpensive, granniest yarn possible, usually Red Heart or any of the inexpensive brands that you can get at a craft store or Walmart, wherever you shop. But the reason why you want to use an acrylic, stiffer acrylic type of yarn is because if you're going to be hanging the hearts outside in any type of element, the acrylic yarn will last for a really long time, and it also holds its shape. So because it's rather stiff, it doesn't flop over like as if it were wool or cotton or any other type of natural fiber. So go with the cheap acrylic stuff. Okay, so I'm going to try this. I have my camera hanging around my neck. I'm really terrible at doing stuff like this, but I'm going to give it a go. So starting out, obviously I make a tail, a couple inches long, and I'm going to crochet a chain 4. Oh, also I wanted to say I am using an F hook, which with this type of yarn is actually a little bit kind of small, but I am pretty proficient at making the hearts by now, and I have good control over a bigger yarn with a smaller hook. If this is too small for you, try a G. A G would be good. I like the F because the stitches stay really nice and tight. And again, that holds the shape ultimately of the heart. So anyways, crochet 4, single crochet 4, make a chain. You're going to go back into the first stitch and make a circle. So you just slip stitch that little guy, and you have a little tiny circle. Okay, so now I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm going to go into the circle and with a double crochet. Find that center and double crochet into the center of it. Again, just like you're making a granny square, the beginning of a granny square. So 3 chain, 1 double crochet, 1 more double crochet into the hole, which will get bigger as you continue to crochet into it. Okay, and then I chain 2, go back in for a set of 3 double crochet, 1, 2, sorry, I'm looking at my phone as I'm doing this, not the actual work, and 3. And you're going to do that 4 times, right? So you have little cluster of 3 double crochet separated by a chain 2. 1, 2, chain 2, wrap into your hole, make a double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and last one. So I have 4 clusters of 3 double crochet. 1, 2, chain 2, last cluster, 1, 2, 3. Okay, chain 2 again, and you're going to attach it at the top of your first chain 3 stitch. Go through both loops and attach it with a slip stitch. Just pull right through. Okay, so now you have your first little tiny square, again the basis of your granny square. And now I'm going to slip stitch my way over to this pocket here, this where the chain 2 made. So I go into the top of that double crochet, go through both loops, slip stitch, and into the next one, slip stitch, and then into the pocket, I slip stitch again. Okay, now I'm going to create a corner here. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before, double crochet 2 more to make a cluster of 3. You're going right into that hole that's created. And now I'm going to chain 2 again. My phone is literally like right under my nose, so you can hear me probably breathing really heavy. I'm sorry. I know this is probably not the best way to do it, but I'm going to try. Okay, so then I'm going to do another cluster in that same hole of 3 double crochet. That's a little better. I moved my arm position. That helps. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now in the corner, I've created 1 cluster of 3 separated by a chain 2, another cluster of 3. Okay, so now I'm going to make my way over to this next corner, but I'm only going to chain 1. And then I'm going to pop my double crochets right into that hole. 1, 2, and 3. And again, I'm going to separate that by a chain 2, 1, 2, and do another cluster of 3. And you're going to do that in all of the corners around, which is, again, the basis of your granny squares. So if you already know this, just fast forward and keep on going until you get to the end. Okay, and chain 1. And now I'm going to speed it up here because I've already explained it. For those of you who may not have crocheted in a while, one thing, or for all crocheters really, one thing I really want to stress is keep your gauge tight. Notice when I'm holding my stitches, my thumb is right under them. Nothing that's loosey-goosey. Okay, single crochet and slip stitch into the top of your first chain 3. Okay, so now you've created your little square. Next, we're going to go to this corner over here, just like we did before. Slip stitch all the way over to the corner. So into the next 2 stitches, slip stitch, and then when you get into this corner, I actually do a single crochet because it just brings the height of the stitch up to this row so that it's even instead of kind of drooping down. Okay, so here's our first little square. And in the heart, it's actually at an angle. So the heart, it fits just like that. It's more like a diamond, really, like this. Okay, so now here's the little tricky part. This is what makes the curves of the heart. This part, which, as you can see, is a lot of stitches put into the corner. You'd think I'm giving a speech or something. I'm so out of breath. Okay, so I'm going to triple crochet. You wrap once, twice. Okay, remember double crochet, you wrap once. With triple crochet, you wrap twice. Okay, and I'm going to go into this center pocket, not the corner, the center pocket. Okay, and I'm going to pull through once, twice, 3 times, and then it kind of lays right flat like that. I'm going to do that 12 times total, which will create the arc till we get over to this point. Okay, so again, wrap twice, go into your pocket, pull through once, pull through twice, pull through 3 times. That's the second one. By about the 8th stitch, you're going to say, how am I supposed to fit them all in there? It gets really crowded, but you just push them over a little bit and kind of stretch out the fabric and just keep going. Oops. Sorry, I'm going to do that one over. If you're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 5 more. If you're a good proficient crocheter, this is where you can get real speedy and just wrap, wrap, go, go, go. Wrap, wrap. Pull. Although if you're looking at it from the opposite side, it can get a little tricky. Okay. See, I think that's 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, one more. Okay, so now I've created my first curve, and where I'm going to go next is into this very next corner. Remember, here's our square. I'm going to go into the corner here, and I'm going to slip stitch, not single crochet. Slip stitch it nice and tight, because what that is going to actually create is your point here where the curves meet each other. Okay, so your crochet at this point should look like a little house, almost like a little hut. Okay, and now we're going to do the exact same thing that we did here over in this next pocket, this next hole. So 12 triple crochet. I always get to 11 and think it's 12, but it never is. Okay, so now I've done my 12. Now you can really start to see the shape of the heart taking form, okay? And so we're going to join into the next space, the next pocket, with a single crochet. So just put your hook in there and do a single crochet. And now throughout all the stitches until we get to the point of the heart, we're going to single crochet. So here is a double crochet from the previous row. You're going to go into the top of that double crochet and do a single. And in the next one, single. Okay, you'll get to your pocket, you go into your pocket and make a single crochet, and then into the next 3 double crochets. And we are just creating the border right now. Okay, so now I'm at the point. I'm going to single crochet into the point. Okay, and then I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to single crochet back into that point. So you're really making the tip of the heart now. So there's 2 stitches, 2 single crochets in that point. Okay, I have 3 more double crochet here that I'm going to do my single crochet in the top of. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then I get to my pocket where I had joined before, and I'm going to single crochet the last stitch. And in these 3 right here, they're thicker because we single crocheted into that row to get over to this corner in the previous row. So you just want to go to the next stitch, and there's going to be a little more meat there, and just do a slip stitch. Okay, and then you have the first part of the heart. Really, you could stop here if you wanted to. I have before in the past. The heart just is a little bit smaller, you know. I don't have an example of a heart at the moment with a trim around it, but I guess I could do that to show you. So if you wanted to stop here, I would suggest that you just cut a nice long tail, you know, about 8 or 10 inches long. And you just, you know, pull it all the way through. And then what you would do is, I'm going to show you the trim, so the ending part is the same either way, but you would just flip it over and you would, you know, with your yarn needle, just back stitch, loop over a few times so that it secures it, back stitch to the center, okay, and then you would come up the back, make a nice big loop, go back in, flip it over, and again secure it back and forth a few times, and then you'd have your tail, your you know, the way to hang it. You could make that as long as you want or as short as you want depending on where you're hanging it. But I'm going to keep mine for right now. I didn't need to make that one so big because I'm going to make a trim, but I just wanted to show you. So for now, I'm going to cut it off a little bit smaller because I don't need that much to sew in. And I'm going to, you know, just, here's my front, on my back, just going through some back loops to secure that. And when I mean by double back, it means instead of just going all the way through, if you were to pull it, it would cinch, you know? So I double back, I go over a stitch, cross back over, and keep going. And you're just going through some back loops of the stitches here. You could do that as many times as you want, just how secure you want it to be, I guess. And that's the process I would go until I got all the way here. But I'm going to cut this one off and we're going to trim this heart. Same thing with your tail from your beginning. Just go through like those three stitches. Okay, so now we have our little heart, and you're gonna have to excuse my makeshift videography here, but I need to grab another skein of yarn. So let's see, let's do it with like this bright pink one. A really kind woman just donated a bunch of skeins to me, which was very thoughtful. So I look forward to being able to share them with other people when I start to teach this to people in real life. So we're going to do the border now. And with the border, let's see, how am I going to explain this? It's a little tricky, and I can't say that I do it the same every single time, but I'm going to try and keep it consistent for y'all. So I would start here at the dip where the curves meet, and I'm going to go through the main hole here. That is where the corner is essentially, and I'm going to just loop it through, keep my tail down, and just give it a slip stitch and make it nice and snug, because you want that dip in where the curves are. Now I'm a little OCD. I like to, when I'm doing my different colors, I like to stitch my tail into the work so I don't have to go back and do it with a needle, but you can do whatever works for you. So two ways. You could either just do the trim through the two hoops, through the two loops of your stitch here with a single crochet. Okay, and what that's going to do is create more of a flatter trim. You know, you're not going to have the line if you did it in back loops only. Or I prefer, and this is what I did with the most recent hearts that I did. It's just maybe for some people who might not know how to do this, it's a little bit trickier, but it's pretty easy. You just go in the back loop, right? So your back loop is this top one here, the of your stitch. Here's one loop, here's the second loop. You just go into the back loop instead of going in both. And when I do that, I'm going to keep that my tail with me. So I'm going to go single crochet, and then in the next one I'm going to do 2 single crochet, because we are basically increasing, right? If we did it in one stitch all the way around, what would happen is this would kind of fold over like that. We need to increase because we're on a curve. So I'd go 1 and 1, 2 and 1, 1 and 1. So I did 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet and 1 single crochet. And I just kind of do that all the way around. So in this one, I'm going to do 2 single crochet in the back loop. And in the next one, I'll do 1. And then 2. And why I like doing it in the back loops is because it creates the line from the previous stitch, which just kind of is more of a, you know, little extra bonus there, design element, I guess. And then back loop, 1, 2, and 1, and then 2, and then I can let that little tail go now, and I'll just trim him off later. Okay, so once I get to where the end of my triple crochets were, then I'm just going to do single crochet in the back loops all the way to the corner. We don't need to increase anymore. Again, I like to keep the tension nice and tight and even. And I'm going to do that until I get to my point. Okay, and then in the point, remember we did a chain 2 here. I'm going to go into that pocket with 1 single crochet and a chain, and then actually I do chain 2, I'm sorry, chain 2, just like we did in the previous row, and then into that single crochet again. So that really makes the point of the heart. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to doing my single crochet in the back loops only. Oops. So that I go on the border of the other side of the heart. Now, when you get to this side where we had to do the slip stitch, it gets a little wonky. You just got to kind of try to find, it's going to slip sometimes. You just got to try to find really hold it tight and push your hook through it. Be patient with yourself because this part sometimes is a little frustrating just on those few stitches. Okay, and I have one more. Okay, and now I'm back to doing my curve. So I'll start with a 1. And actually, this is where I just kind of wing it. It depends. Sometimes I'll do 1 and then 1 and then 2. Okay, now I'm going to go back and do 1 and then 2 and the same. Last one. Okay. So now we're going to join that one down there. So here again, I would cut off a nice long tail because this, for this heart, is actually going to be the hanging tab. Okay, so I pull my stitch all the way through my yarn. Done with my hook. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this very first stitch and pull it down nice and tight so that it creates the dip here that we want. Okay, so in order to make my hanging tab, I'm going to go back, just make it nice and secure, and then all I have to do is just loop it around and find a place in the front to loop it through. There you go. You've got a nice long holder there. Sometimes I will wrap my yarn around this part, like almost as if you were making a French knot, because it keeps it a little bit, you know, again, it's just a design element, really. You don't have to do that, but go, and then I'll go through the back. Okay, so now I'm going to secure my tail just like I would have with the other. Go through the back loops, a few of them. Okay, so now you have a heart that has a trim. It takes a little bit longer, but I just think it looks really pretty. And you could even do that same process with the same color yarn if you want to, just in order to make it a little bit bigger and more finished looking, I guess. As for the tags, I got these ribbon tags made on Etsy. I wish I could remember who did it. I'll have to try to find the link because it's been so many years. But if I find the link, I'll post it to the video somehow. But there's lots of ribbon makers on Etsy if you really wanted to do ribbon. I have a big spool here that I just cut from. You could also find cardstock and print it, you know, as long as it's thin enough. You know, you really could do whatever you want. You Are Loved is, you know, something that you see all over the place, but I definitely use that for this project. If you wanted to say, I love you, or whatever, you know, it's your choice. But for my particular project, I do You Are Loved. Also, I have these little tiny like safety pins, I think. I'm not exactly sure where I got them. I really can't remember, but they're different than regular safety pins. They just have this loop here. I think it's a knitting or maybe a crocheting thing too. And I just, like a placeholder, maybe it's something like that. I don't know. I'm sure if you searched on you know, on Amazon or at like Michael's or something, you'd find something similar. And I just go through a few of the stitches and clasp it shut, and then I stick this little guy behind so you don't really see it as much. And then I just let the ribbon hang there. Oh, that was a lot. Normally they take me about between 10 and 15 minutes to make. This was half an hour. So there is a You Are Loved heart. I hope my descriptions were clear enough for those of you who know how to crochet. And you can reach out to me if you need any help, or I'm going to try to put a written pattern together. I know somewhere in my archives I have one written, but it's been a while since I've looked. But if you need that, you know, just reach out and I can find it for you. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Good luck.